Hello folks, thank you for being with me on this Sunday in mid-November. What an exciting month it's been. Although it's literally, for my brain, just gone by so fast. Why isn't it still September? I don't know. It feels like, I think I feel this every end of the year. It's like the end of the year just like steamrolls right over me. And I'm like, where did it all go? I was just doing this other thing, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, it's Thanksgiving already for the US folks. And then, oh my God, it's Christmas already for the former or existing Christian folks. And then it's New Year's, and then it's like, oh my God, it's a brand new year. And it seems so promising, right? Like, doesn't the beginning of the year always just seem like, oh my God, you could do anything. You have 365 days to reinvent yourself. You have 360, is it 65 days? Yes, it's an odd year. You have all this time to start new projects, to do new things. Now's a great time to start those, by the way. Unless you're like me and you're like, well, now's a great time to get started on, say, gifts to family and friends, other loved ones, whoever your loved ones happen to be. So let your brain think about how fun it is, maybe, to have that new starting point coming up. I know I'm thinking about starting all sorts of things, except I'm just going to also start like now. I'm going to start now as soon as I can, so that my brain has an opportunity to actually do things at the new year, as opposed to like having to think about it at the new year. I don't know. Anyway, hello and welcome. I'm Lee. This is Theoretically About Hypnosis. I wasn't really talking about hypnosis so far, but a little chit chat. I have been working around the house to get things tidy, to empty out stuff that I no longer need. I'm doing like a literal and mental decluttering of my brain and the house and the yard, because I would like to I'd like to make my life a little simpler. You may have heard me talk about this before. I am not sure. But if you would actually like to make things in your life a little bit simpler, how do you do it? How do you go about that? What sorts of things does your brain do at this time of year, if anything different? Because, I don't know, you may or may not do something different than I do. I imagine we're not the same people, so you're going to do something a little bit different. It's kind of funny. Well, maybe it's not that funny. But I feel as though I do a lot of hypnosis, but I haven't actually been thinking a lot about hypnosis. And I'm in a group on Discord where the talk is all about the science of hypnosis. But I'm way more interested in, I guess, the experience of hypnosis and the change of hypnosis. So if you are really into the science of hypnosis, does the experience matter to you, or no, because it's only anecdotal? I mean, I guess in order for it to be science, you need enough people responding to the same thing or similar things, and then you need, say, hypnotists who are hopefully, theoretically, qualified in some way to get a result. I'm not sure actually how specifically the science of getting results works with hypnosis, but if you have any experience with that, I would love to know more about the way that you find yourself responding to hypnosis, or the way that your brain thinks about it or reads about the science aspect of hypnosis and suggestions and trance and all those things around the idea of hypnosis. Because I realize that sometimes I have a very knee-jerk response about the science of hypnosis, especially when some studies earlier when I think it was, they tried to do they did a suggestibility scale, and they had like just a script, or they had just one person without inflection, perhaps, reading a script for a bunch of people and seeing how they responded. Some people are always going to respond. Some people are never going to respond. And then there's everybody else in the middle. So, hello, Dirk. Thanks for being here. So I like the idea that what we do can, especially if we do it in large enough quantities, can then be extracted from. We can have data extracted from that and presented as a thing. But I absolutely love when an individual tells me something about their experience that they had with me or with some other hypnotist about a change that they've made that was meaningful to them. And for me, that's really kind of where it's at. For me, that's the important thing, that people are going to be experiencing something that is meaningful to them. That may or may not be the case for you. I do not know. Some people might just be like, oh, I just want to float along, or I just want to relax, or I just want to do these other things. So, I don't know what we're going to do today. Some days I know, sometimes I don't know. But if you have something that you might like to find yourself doing today, please let me know what that is. It's easier for me to take some kind of idea, almost really any kind of idea, and to run with that than to have nothing going on in my mind. But I don't know. I also do like my sparkly. I try to wear different things every once in a while. I mean, to be fair, I am definitely a t-shirt and yoga pants kind of person. Maybe because I do a lot of lifting and bending. Like today I was out pressure washing the deck around the lanai. It'd gotten kind of wonky. And honestly, I don't think I had done it in like 2 years. I think I did it 2 years ago. I have a new pressure washer that has a surface cleaner. So it's this round thing that you scrub it with. And it did a pretty good job. I didn't finish, but I did a huge section of it today, so it looks a lot better. And what I'm probably going to end up doing, I have something out there to dismantle and some plants to move around, but when I dismantle the thing that's out there and move the plants, I'm probably going to paint it. It's it's a pool and it's cement, so it's supposed to be non-slippery. And I think that I gotta find the right kind of paint for that. I don't want anything too with sand in it. I don't want to cut my feet while I'm out there. But they also have some that have algicide, which I also think is helpful for my particular situation. So we'll see how that all goes. Anyway, pressure washers are great fun. I'm sure I've talked about them before. And if I had something that was like really dirty to pressure wash that I think would be fun for people to watch, I might make videos of that, because I like the whole going from, you just go back and forth, and all of a sudden something that was dirty is now clean and dirty, and it just keeps moving down. And I think that's really, really delightful to get into. Anyway, hello everyone. Thank you for being here. Roman and Roshan, I appreciate that you are here. Thanks again. I keep forgetting. So, I'm really, really good at not knowing what day or time it is. I'm also really pressure washing your mind, because that's what brainwashing is all about, right? How clean you make yourself. That's absolutely what it's about. So the idea that I forgot what I was going to say. Speaking of empty minds, Okay. I heard a noise last night. I don't know what kind of noise it was. If I heard it again, I could tell you it sounds like that, but I don't know. And I was asked, what did it sound like? And I'm like, I literally cannot tell you. Someone was saying that maybe I have no object permanence, which is a possibility. I'm not sure. I'm very, very, very good at forgetting all sorts of things unless I get a reminder about them. Like, it could happen 10 minutes ago or 10 days ago, and I will absolutely have no idea what you're talking about until I get some sort of visual or actual reminder, and then my brain is like bing, 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 and all the ideas just start flooding in and start flowing. So, yeah, pressure washer for the mind. That could be good. You know, you have to be so careful with pressure washers. I did not today, but because it was too dirty. That's my excuse. But I'm the kind of person who will absolutely go out and do almost anything barefoot. Why? I don't know. It's just very comfortable for me to have no shoes on. I don't usually wear shoes in the house, so if I go outside, unless I'm like leaving, I just go out with my bare feet on. With my bare feet with nothing on? However that works for you. So maybe the idea is that, so you just have to be really careful when you pressure wash and you have bare feet. I've never really hurt myself, but you know, it's definitely, depending on how narrow the stream is, you could definitely abrade your skin if you weren't careful. So, anyway, I was thinking that I might, like, this pressure washer I have now has like a soap reservoir, and I've had them where you could like connect a soap thing in, but this one has one built in. All I have to do is fill it up, and I just thought that was kind of neat. So the idea that you could pressure wash your brain carefully, of course, you just have to put it at the right setting, right? Maybe you put a little soap and it's all fuzzy and foamy, and you can like, all right, do you ever see an ad, or do you ever do this yourself where you're like using those scrubbing bubbles to clean your bathtub, the walls in your shower or your bathtub, and you like just spray it on, and I think it's like some color, maybe purple or pink, and then as it actually cleans it, you know, gravity pulls it all down, and then you go from like this pink or purple, and it's dirty, and then it just drags it all down. You don't even have to scrub, right? That's the whole point. The bubbles do the scrubbing for you. And then by the time it gets to, I don't know, the tub, let's just say, or the bottom of the tub, the whole thing is absolutely clean, and you had to do nothing, and all you have to do is now rinse it off. That would be a fun idea for pressure washer bubbles in your brain. This is an absolutely ridiculous conversation that I'm having with you all, and I understand that. I guess that's the mood I'm in today. So, if your brain would like to get clean, or if you'd like to do some brainwashy type stuff today, let me know. I'm up for brainwashing all the time, but what would you want to be brainwashed to do? That's always the comment that I have, the question I have. Because some people like to be brainwashed for something in particular. Do you want to be brainwashed to be more obedient to somebody? Do you want to be brainwashed to feel more submissive when you whatever action? Do you want to discover that it's easier to just go into trance, and the more you listen, the more your unconscious mind just says, of course, I can be brainwashed to be a better subject. I can be brainwashed to be a better hypnotist. Absolutely possible. I can be brainwashed to remember to eat my vegetables. I can be brainwashed to get up on time. I can be brainwashed to let go of some things in the past. I mean, all of these things are absolutely fun, absolutely possible. I'm pretty optimistic about the things that I think hypnosis can do, and if it involves changing your behavior, changing the way you think about something, changing your thoughts, behavior, actions. Thoughts, actions. I may have been a little redundant there. Have I skipped something? Beliefs? Yeah, you can change your beliefs too. You know I love me some control room. That's one of my absolute favorite things. Yeah, remove the ability to resist suggestions. So, as always, as long as it's safe and appropriate to do so, right? So, I keep wanting. I've talked to a few people whose control rooms are super natural, not supernatural, but they are very natural in flavor, i.e., they're in a forest or they're in a field or something along those lines. They don't have anything remotely control roomish, but there may be like an image of them, a statue of them that they can, in their mind, adjust. Like, are you a statue made of granite? What if we covered you with vines? What if instead of like you being made out of granite, we have you made out of, I don't know, jello? Or what happens if you were a flesh and blood statue or something along that lines, and then we just like removed all your bones? Those things are kind of very entertaining. I guess if you were granite on the outside and your bones were all removed, it would be fine. But if you were like jello, that might be a little bit awkward. You just start to, I mean, but people play around with these things in their brain. Yeah, clay would be a good one, right? Because it's pretty sturdy, very malleable. Yeah. So brainwashed and wash the brain, metaphorically speaking. Yes. All right. Well, let's do some brainwashing today. Why not? We're not going to start for another few minutes, though, just because I still don't know. I wish I knew where they were, but where the ads fall. And I think that the way that they work is off-putting, and I hate the idea that they're going to happen in the middle of a trance session, but that's okay. I think that if you're here and you like the idea of brainwashing, your brain is going to know that you can just hang around and you'll get brainwashed, hopefully, easily, delightfully, and that everything about that brainwashing will just make you feel so much better. So much better. For the patrons, last year we did, in December, January, and February, we did like a sparkling clean winter, which involved a lot, like an overwhelming amount, I don't know, but a good amount of brainwashing type files, all designed with you in mind to make your world a little bit better, a little bit easier. And we'll just see what happens. I think that that's sort of my brand, is hypnosis that is good for you, even if some of it is a little bit, I don't know, I always want to say coercive, except I made a file called that, and that may not be a file that is for everybody. So thank you about that, Roman. I have been suffering with migraines for like the last month. Was kind of miserable. And I ended up with like massive knots in my shoulder and my neck, especially right over here, which I think is mostly gone, but it's hard to tell. I have a really good massage therapist that I go to around here, and they're not deliberately hurting me by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not the "I'll make you feel good" kind of massage therapist either. And all it really does is, like, you don't feel good while you're there usually, or I don't. But as the days go on and as I like ice my body, it magically resolves itself to some extent, which I always think is pretty good. Anyway, they're excellent, and sometimes, like, I go there and they're like, oh, your back is just like so hard, and they do all sorts of things. They do this sort of like pressure point. It's not quite that. So I used to go to a massage therapist who did pressure point. They called it Zen, but it was pressure point massage, where basically they find the spots that hurt and they like press on them. I don't know if they use their thumb or their elbow or whatever, but it was like supremely painful. It's no fun. And they hold it. I thought, sorry about that noise. They they press and hold on to that until you have no more pain. It's like it's like your body, your muscles just resist and resist and resist, and then they just melt, and then it doesn't feel so bad. But like I think I recall getting black and blue marks from that. Black and blue marks aren't my. I have them all the time. They're just not fun though. So, yeah, pressure point inductions can be super cool. I really like playing around with pressure points. I've done classes on pressure points, and I think that they are exciting things to play around with. But I've known a bunch of friends who, one of my friends used to have a massage therapist go to their house like on a weekly basis, and they would get a massage for them and their partner. And sometimes I got to be the beneficiary if their partner was out of town, so it was super great. And he said that he learned so much from this massage therapist. She was also studying to be a doctor, and when she got her doctorate, when she became a PhD, not PhD, excuse me, an MD, she stopped doing massages, of course, because she's a doctor. But he's like, she knew all the worst spots, and my friend was a sadist, so he really liked learning where all the worst spots were. But pressure points are absolutely fun to play around with. Yes, it's yikes unless you're into that sort of thing, and if you're not, it's no good. But as a therapeutic tool to get those spots out is really, really good. So anyway, I feel much better. Thank you for commenting on that, and I'll try probably to not talk about too much sadistic stuff going forward, because I think it would be so much more fun to do things that make you feel super great instead of doing things that make you feel ouchy. Again, though, sometimes you do the ouchy thing because the benefit of working through that rough spot, that painful place, whatever it is worth it in the end. And I think that that's really important. Like, not everybody can do that, right? Like, sometimes people need a more delicate way of working through things. I also have read a bunch about massage techniques, and one of them was like, yeah, it's sometimes pain is like layered around you like an onion, and so you can like gently, delicately remove it layer by layer by layer as gently as you possibly can. It doesn't have to hurt. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. The pressure point, the Zen stuff that the guy did was like fast and terrible, but worth it for me at any rate. Not for everybody else. But he had plenty of clients, so maybe it is worth it. If that's your thing, go for it. All right. So I think I might start out a little bit differently today. By that I mean, wouldn't it be fun to just start out with something that allows you to feel really great? So maybe not specifically, but like sort of like a progressive muscle relaxation. It's not my favorite. Excuse me. And it's not my favorite because a lot of them go on for a long time. And most people I know that I've worked with are in trance way before then. And I just want to get to I call it the good stuff, but I want to get to the change. For me, the change feels like magic. I know hypnosis isn't magic, but for me, it feels like it's magic. When somebody realizes, consciously or unconsciously, what their capabilities now are. They didn't know it before. They have this idea in their head. They just, everything clicks, everything falls into place, and their brain just says, yes, 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 yes. Oh, yeah. The only reason I ever use, like, tensing your muscles and then releasing them is because a lot of people don't have the concept of what it means to actually relax. And, of course, relaxation is absolutely unnecessary for hypnosis. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Relaxation is usually, at best, a side effect of going into a trance state. Now, some people are like, oh, there is no such thing as a trance state, but whatever kind of altered state you might be in that is not the same as, say, when you are on a conscious level, whatever that means, responding and reacting to things and doing things, perhaps, say, learning something. It has been sort of talked about that when you are learning something, that's when your conscious mind is most active, because you have to learn to do a new thing consciously, and then your unconscious mind figures out the ways in which you can do it so that you spend less and less brain energy, because our bodies want to be efficient, and that's why, like, all the thought goes on up here, and it takes, I don't know, 20% of our daily energy to just think about things, whatever. The idea that your unconscious mind can make all these changes is really the thing that I love. And also, when you tighten, say, any part of your body, like I'm squeezing my fist pretty hard, when you do this, like, it doesn't always feel good. Like, it feels not good going down my arm. I feel like my body is always just so tight anyway, and I'd like to find ways to, like, to let that go. Anyway, relaxation happens through the trance if you're lucky. It doesn't have to be a forced part of it. And don't worry, you don't have to get into any weird muscle tensing things. In fact, how about none of that today? How about, let's just begin. If you would, allow yourself to get into the most comfortable position you possibly can right now, or the one that your brain just knows is the most conducive to you finding yourself dropping easily and deeply into trance, right? Because that feels great. The idea that your unconscious mind might know the best position for you to go into trance, novel concept, but allow your brain to really understand that today you're just going to allow yourself to be brainwashed. For what purpose? You're going to pick that purpose out. You're going to allow yourself to think about what purpose you want to be brainwashed to do, and I'm going to work myself around that thought and that idea. I always, when I do any sort of PMR type things, I like to start at the top of the head. And if it's helpful for you to follow along, say, with your hands, and you want to do that, go ahead. So go ahead and close your eyes, and maybe your hands are on top of your head, and you're giving yourself like a light, tingly, not necessarily a massage, not necessarily not a massage, but the idea that you can feel what that's like at the top of your head, which is probably a place that most people don't spend a lot of time on, but that's okay. We're going to brainwash you today. So we're going to think about that brain a lot. We're going to allow you to know how good it feels to simply, if you're touching your head, to feel those light little touches and to let that move down. Maybe you move down your forehead, maybe you move down your ears. However your brain wants to move your hands, let yourself experience that. However you find yourself wanting to do it, whether you just want to do like little tappy touches, whether you want to do just sweeping down gently. If you don't want to do it, that's okay too. Maybe you can imagine that somebody is taking like a nice, one of those feather fans, right? They make those big feather fans like in some movies that you might have seen, and that's just like brushing down your head, or those little metal tinglers with little rubber ends, and you stick it on your head and it feels kind of interesting. So you can feel perhaps those touches or those imagined touches from the top of your head, just running down and down and down until maybe you find yourself tapping your chin or your jaw or your neck. And the more you find yourself experiencing those things or feeling as though you're experiencing those things, let your brain realize that it can be as though it's being pressure washed. It can be as though it's being scrubbing bubbled. It can be as though you're just gently allowing anything that you do not need to have there to simply be touched and affected and to be carried down and down and down. Maybe down your shoulders, and maybe down your arms, maybe all the way to your wrists. Just that light little touch. Now, can you feel things moving throughout your body as you do that? You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. You could do it some other way. But let those ideas that you have the ability, as you listen to the sound of my voice, to think about the top of your head and anything that you would like to remove, just getting dislodged a little bit by the thought or the action of the tapping of your hand or the smoothing of your hand down your head, down your neck, down your shoulders, down your chest, down your ribs, all the way to your hips. Maybe if you're using your hands, by the time your hands get to your hips, you feel like you're using a more forceful kind of direct pressure, a more forceful kind of just shushing down, like you are sluicing something off. And that can feel pretty good as your brain just realizes that you're doing this to your whole body, down your arms, whoosh, down your neck. Maybe you can reach your back and you can do it down your back, down your front, down your legs. But by the time you get your hips, you're using a more definitive motion to just feel that, to imagine that, or to do it, whichever way works for you. And so you can feel that again from the top of your head all the way down your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your chest, your back, your ribs, all the way down. I'm sitting, so I'm not going to get my lower back or my butt or the back of my legs, but you can imagine that that's just happening to you. Maybe if you were like suspended in some kind of, I don't know, space station, or in some instance on Earth that we've made happen, some kind of zero G, and you can just feel like every part of you is accessible. And you can feel those hands just whoosh, whether they're your hands, or they're the bubbles, whether it's a pressure washer, it doesn't really matter what it is. So let your unconscious mind feel all of that, moving down, letting go of things, shaking them off, pressing them off of you, sluicing them off your skin. And notice as you find yourself doing that, you can start to move down to your knees. Maybe you're pushing more and more things down. Maybe you notice that if you were to look towards your feet, you'd see something like a dirty puddle. Like when I was pressure washing today, I was getting rid of dirt, literally. But what are you getting rid of? Maybe you're seeing discarded ideas. Maybe you're seeing thoughts that you don't need anymore. Maybe you're understanding that there are some colors that were representing something like pain or anger or whatever emotion you might find that you don't want anymore. And if you look down at your feet, you might realize that they're all there, right? But however you find yourself doing that, just imagine you can keep going down from your knee to your shins, your calves, the side of your leg. Just keep going down. If you feel any area that really isn't quite up for that, that's okay. Let your unconscious mind just know that that's a spot that you might be holding something in, some kind of tension, and your brain can work on that whenever it has the capacity and the wherewithal to do so. And then maybe you just pick your feet up and you take your hands and you just like make a little, tube with your hand, and you just get your ankles and your heel and the arch of your foot and the top of your foot and all the way out your toes, and you do the other side. Maybe you have to do them more than once. I don't know. Sometimes you have to go back over a spot, right? That's just how life works. Sometimes things are holding on. They grip something more powerfully than another spot. You might have to, scrub at it. You might have to give it another go. However you find yourself getting rid of these things that you don't need, at the end you might look down and you'd be like, oh, I'm kind of stepping in this thing. It's okay. Just take the hose, the pressure washer, whatever concept or idea is in your brain, and notice that you can just sluice it all off. Wash yourself off gently and carefully and send that all to the drain. Send it down. Add some extra water so it literally all just goes to somewhere else to be processed away from you, to be turned into something else, to be transmuted into something somewhere where it is benign, where it absolutely will no longer hurt you or anything else, and everything about that can just make your body and your brain feel so much better. So think about the thing that you might like to find yourself doing automatically more and more of. Let your unconscious mind think about how good it feels to be so clean right now, how enjoyable it is to feel refreshed in that way without being weighed down. Do you find yourself sitting a little taller? Do you find yourself breathing a little bit more easily? Do you find yourself just giving in to how incredibly right it is for your body to have shed those things, for your mind to have let go of those things? However you find yourself thinking about what it is that you would like to be brainwashed to do, why not go to your control room? In mine is down deeply in my unconscious mind. I go down and down and down until I just get off at the right floor from the elevator. You could take an escalator, you could walk down, you could magically find yourself there, however it happens. Just let your brain think about how good it feels to know that you can be in that place. You can be in that place where the changes occur. Can they occur anywhere else? Absolutely. But this is a great shortcut for your brain to know that you're in your control room. It looks like however you imagine a control room for you would be. And as you find yourself thinking about your control room, think about the things that you would like to find yourself brainwashed to do. If you want to be brainwashed to accepting suggestions just super easily, to accepting suggestions that are safe and appropriate for you, or at least appropriate for you, depending on how, where you are on the danger scale, let your unconscious mind think about how good that feels to just accept those suggestions, to go to the place where you can find suggestions in your control room, whether you have a panel, whether you just have, a panel specifically for that, whether you just have one little, say, tablet that controls everything, whether you just picture yourself and maybe you realize you have a gate or some kind of bars around the way that you've currently been accepting suggestions in the past, and you just remove it, whether you physically remove the gates or the bars, or whether you go in and you dissolve it, or whether you realize that you can pressure wash that thing away too, or whether you can go in and dial it up or slide your level of suggestibility to a more acceptable level for you. However your brain does that, let that work for you right now. Let your unconscious mind just think about how important it might be for you to be more suggestible in certain circumstances. How easy it would be for your unconscious mind to know that if you were more suggestible in certain circumstances, you could be brainwashed more easily. You could have your thoughts changed more easily. You could give in more effortlessly to almost anything that appeals to you. Let your unconscious mind think about how fascinating it could be for you to know that certain suggestions that you've been wanting to test out, things that you found yourself really intrigued by, could simply be things that you find yourself giving into, that you just can't help, but you find yourself going, oh, I'd really like to be able to be way more submissive than I am to the right person, under the right circumstances. I want to be able for that to be me. I want it to feel absolutely, utterly natural. I want to be able to slip into that role without hesitation, without reservations, to be able to respond to the way my partner or partners are acting and treating me in that moment, and I want to make sure that I'm still doing this in a manner that is safe for me. Let your unconscious mind think about how good that feels to be more obedient. Let your unconscious mind think about how good it feels to know that you can open up the amount of suggestion your brain is willing to act upon, just like that. And the more your unconscious mind thinks about how good it feels to make those changes, the more your unconscious mind realizes how powerful it is for you to act on these things, to make these changes, to be more suggestible. You might discover that everything else about that falls into place. Like, what if you're trying to learn something, right? What if you're trying specifically to learn something? Can you be more suggestible to the stuff that's in your textbooks, or the stuff that's in your new working environment, or anything that you find yourself training yourself to do? Can you be more suggestible to those messages so that you pick them up more quickly, so that your unconscious mind knows that you're consciously taking them in, but unconsciously you're processing that as well as you can. You're working your very best to understand it so you can put the whole picture together, so that you can figure out exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it, and to just make it work. Let your brain think about that, because the way we find ourselves giving into suggestion and maybe even to subtext, because maybe what's being said isn't exactly what's literally being meant, but allow your unconscious mind to think about how good it feels to be in that position. Allow your unconscious mind to delight in how good it feels to let those bars down, to get clean so you are ready to be imprinted with something fresh and new. Maybe you want to stay fresh and new, but maybe your unconscious mind knows that there are other ideas that are going to stick better the cleaner your mind is, that there are fresh ideas and thoughts that your unconscious mind is going to hold on to. And maybe you realize that as you find yourself picking up fresh information after getting super clean, that the beliefs that you had and the thoughts that you have around this allow you to act in a new way, allow you to act in a way that is super conducive to you living a really wonderful life. Whether that's you're standing up for yourself in some capacity that you never have before, whether that's you reaching out to do new things that you've never done before that have a massive impact on the way that you find yourself conducting business or dealing with friends or loved ones. Let your brain think about how good those ideas can be and how easy it can be for you now that you're super clean. Maybe you have a better idea about what types of actions and thoughts you want to find yourself acting on and reflecting back at other people. Maybe your unconscious mind just knows that it begins to be even more amazing. Your life begins to be even more amazing when you find yourself just accepting how fascinating you are. Let your unconscious mind think about what you're capable of making happen, whether or not you've done it before. And let your unconscious mind go, yes, we are absolutely doing the very best job that we know how to do at making our lives even better. Whether you take a deep breath in and let it go, and whether you realize that you do, in fact, need to relax in some aspects of your life, you don't have to get all tense in order to make that happen. Your unconscious mind can just sort of know that there are times in your life when you've just gone, and you may literally have taken a deep breath and then let it out and gone, I feel so much better. But usually it's because a thought in your head has flipped or switched and changed. And all of a sudden, the situation is different than it used to be. And you can just give into that a little bit more. Now, I just adjusted and my back went all crickly crack. I don't know if yours does that too. But however you find yourself thinking about something, changing your mind about it a little bit, and then surrendering to how that makes you feel, just acknowledge sometimes how you feel. Because when somebody else is telling you what to do and you find yourself giving into it, there's this momentum, I think, that can happen, which is like you decide you're going to get in the water and then you just get carried away by that river, by that stream, by that current, however it happens. Allow yourself to be in that moment where you can feel yourself getting carried away. Where you can find yourself being carried to a new place, a new way of thinking about something, a new way of relaxing or being something different than you used to be, in a way that makes you feel really good about yourself, in a way that makes your brain know that you are moving in a different direction than you had been, that you are no longer stuck. Maybe when you clean off all that stuff, whatever it was, clean out all that stuff, your unconscious mind just feels how incredibly right it feels. And maybe you're a little slippery now. Maybe you're not going to get clogged up on things that before would trap you. Maybe now it's just smooth sailing from here on out. The way that your unconscious mind can know that you can accept suggestions that are going to be useful and powerful for you. And as always, you can reject the suggestions that you don't need, that are not healthy or helpful for you. And your brain realizes how good that becomes for you to just say yes to the things that you really want and nah to the other things. You can adjust them. Maybe something sounds like a good idea, and in theory, it could be if you just tweaked it a little bit. So you can let yourself do that too. You can allow your unconscious mind to go, I think it would be way better for us if we did this instead of that. Let's go with that and see what happens. And as your brain realizes that when you hear or see or feel things, you can already understand on that deep unconscious level how they're going to be practical and useful for you. Your unconscious mind can know too that it has had so many suggestions over your life, and some of them have become habits for you, and some of those habits may or may not be the way you want to find yourself acting right now. What if your unconscious mind could then go in and be like, let's examine the things that our conscious self says and wants to do, and let's figure out how we can keep making ourselves better. Your unconscious mind very much wants to do the very best for you all the time. That's why it makes shortcuts of things it thinks are important. Sometimes these things are no longer important for us. So let your unconscious mind think that if something is no longer important, it can rewrite it. It can adjust it. It can change it. It can say no to it. It can get rid of it completely if it really wants to. Let your brain hold on to that. And then as you move forward in a new way, as you move forward with new brain ideas and thoughts, with a new slippery skin that takes you forward instead of keeping you in place, Let your brain just feel how good all of these ideas feel for you, how these new actions actually turn out for you. If they turn out better, excellent. Keep doing them. If they're not as good as you expected, tweak them until they do make you feel even better. Let your brain hold on to these thoughts and feel how incredibly good that becomes for you. Take a nice deep breath in and let that out. And let those thoughts swirl around in your head, settling how and where and when they need to. Let the way that you want to find yourself being brainwashed, let the way you want to find yourself changing, let the things that you feel that you would really like to move forward on becoming more and more important, so that the drive to do these things, the drive to fail until you succeed, the drive to keep going and going and going at doing something until you get it, until it clicks, feel that happening faster and faster in your unconscious mind as it imagines these different types of scenarios so that you can experience something different than you thought you were going to, something better than you thought you were going to. Let your unconscious mind do its very best job now and from now on at letting you be the best person you have by letting go of things that are holding you back, by allowing your unconscious mind to just know that it's going to feel so very, very good to be so clean, to be so brainwashed, to accept suggestions that are helpful for you, and to move forward in the most positive way. Take a nice deep breath in again. Let it out. On the count of 10, find yourself coming back up, wide awake all the way. But first, let's go down even deeper. -2. Let your unconscious mind know that as you find yourself sinking and dropping into a state that feels more deeply in trance for you, that feels more absolutely altered than you were when we started, that begins to be even more special than anything was, -4, let your unconscious mind just realize how incredible your unconscious mind is. Your unconscious mind can talk itself up. Let it do that. Let it think about the way that you can make things happen for you better than ever before, -6. Let your unconscious mind begin to realize that there are changes deep down to be made, because sometimes you don't know why you do a thing, but the thing that you do isn't helpful for you. So your unconscious mind can know, let's do something different. And you can lock in new behaviors. You can lock in new ideas. You can lock in new thought patterns, -8. And the more your brain realizes that, the better it can feel. -10. Let your unconscious mind right now bring about pleasure to you. Let your unconscious mind bring about delight and joy to you. Let your unconscious mind bring about something that you really, really want to have happen to you right now. Let your unconscious mind think about what that is, and let every single part of you that's required to take part in that activity and that change, begin to make those changes now. And whether they happen instantaneously or whether they happen tonight while you sleep, it doesn't matter. By the time you wake up tomorrow morning, let your unconscious mind feel so good and allow that to trickle through to your conscious self. Allow that good feeling as it trickles through to your conscious self to just make you feel so much more alive, so much more there, so much more capable of dealing with whatever comes your way. So hold on to that. -9. Find yourself coming back up slowly, slowly, slowly with all these new changes, new suggestions, brainwashing, feeling even better than before, -7, click into place as you find yourself coming back to conscious. -7, -5, feel what that's like. To slowly and easily realize that you are a powerful being in charge of all sorts of crazy things about yourself, that you can make and adjust your actions, your thoughts, your behavior, your patterns to be fitting to who you are now and who you want to be in the future. -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Wide awake. Come on back. Say hi. And you can let me know how you feel if you would. So we'll just hold on to that. Hello everyone who came and or went during the trance portion. Oh, thank you so much, Nicola. I appreciate that. I think that that is amazing, and I'm glad you're like that, and I'm glad I can be like that for you. Yes. I will not be able to do that today, but I definitely will add that to my list of things that we can do. I think I have an idea for next week that I would like to do with everybody, which is it's an NLP technique called eliminating limiting beliefs, which is something that I absolutely find super powerful. Basically, if you have some reason why you can't do a thing, gets rid of all that. But I can definitely do that, and we might even be able to do that at the beginning of next Sundays. So I will definitely make that happen. I will find a way for how good that feels for you. And I think that, and if anybody remembers if there's one that I have already done, I mean, I try to usually be clear in these sessions about what I'm going to do, because I don't want anyone to be like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. But I will announce that before I do it, but I'll plan to do that for next week in addition to eliminating limiting beliefs. And hopefully that will be a very powerful session for everybody. Both of them, honestly, because I think it's fun. One of the best ways you can go into trance without knowing that you're going into trance is being asked a question about something that has happened to you in the past, where you have to go into your memories to think about them. Now, memory play is a tricky thing when you do it like that, because every time we access our memories, unless we're talking about PTSD type situations where everything is like a movie being replayed again and again and again, so when you access your memories, they change every single time. But I think that we could definitely do something. But asking somebody a question about something where they have to like search their memory for it, that's where I was going, is a really great way to get people to enter into a state of trance. And if the person who's asking the question, i.e. the hypnotist, is already in a state of trance, sometimes you can just find that you go there automatically, no matter what. So, like, I do not always go into trance, but I often go into trance when I am doing these things. And I think that that's kind of a fun and exciting thing. So, yes. So I'm going to be wrapping it up for today. So next week I'll do two things. I'll do sort of a covert induction, because people love covert inductions. And we'll do an NLP technique called eliminating limiting beliefs. And anything along those lines that you'd like to find yourself experiencing, I'll talk about that a little bit more. I'll probably post something in the introduction for it of the chat, so you can think about what something might be that you would want to let go of, so that you can think about a belief that you have that has been holding you back, that you would like to not have hold you back anymore. So thank you for being here. If you would like and subscribe if you have not already, I would appreciate that. I'm not a super big YouTuber. I've got about 3,000 subscribers, and we get a very tiny percentage of that in these chats. But I would love it if you would comment if you watch this after the fact, if anything was really meaningful to you. And I really appreciate that you are all here. So thanks. Have a great week yourselves, and I am planning on being back next Sunday. So thanks. Bye.